Welcome back to another episode of Rock Boys Football. We've been talking a lot of Michigan football recruiting. Ohio State fighting back a little bit, landing four-star safety Jaylen McClain, one of the best players in the state of New Jersey. And yeah, a lot of hype. Y'all know I'm a Michigan guy. We've been hyping up this Michigan class in 2024. If you take a look, Ohio State continues to do their thing on the recruiting trail too. It looks like they're going to finish with a top 3 class. They're trending for a lot of top prospects. We'll talk about that a little bit later. Now, before we get into it again, just want to say thank you to you guys. It's been such a busy last couple of days with all the commitments. I try to cover as much as of it that I can, and you guys have been absolutely awesome with the support. Y'all know I kind of a nerd about the recruiting, and you guys have been awesome supporting the fellas. So if you do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. Again, we just appreciate all the support in the college football community, whether you're watching for recruiting, whether you're watching for transfer portal. You guys have been awesome. If you do enjoy the coverage, the content, consider subscribing to the channel. And let's get into Jaylen McClain first. And then I do want to talk about the potential commitments that Ohio State could see in the month of June and July, because it is, they only got, this is their 14th commitment of the cycle, but they're in the running for a lot of top 50 national dudes, a lot of 5-star talent. So we'll talk a little bit about that too. Jaylen McClain, though, a guy that I think the first thing you say is probably versatile, right? 6 foot, 185 pounds, runs an 11-second 100-meter. So he checks that speed caliber too. And it's a position that Ohio State fans probably want to get a little bit better in the back end. I think they have some young talent. I think that you saw some growing pains, and I don't have as many question marks about the actual personnel Ohio State has in the secondary, and more of Jim Knowles brought in a significantly different defensive scheme than they're used to playing. And I think you saw some players just struggle a little bit with that. And they're continuing to have top caliber talent in the back end. And Jaylen McClain is certainly a guy that is just going to provide more depth and talent in that position. He's a dude that probably could play that nickel role as well. Also has the speed and range to play that deep safety role. Turning on a little bit of what he brings to the table. Very exciting film to watch, and you're going to see some ball skills, and you're also just going to see his ability to break on the football. A lot of things that are really exciting about Jaylen McClain. Right here, you're going to see him read the quarterback's eyes, make a play on the ball. He seems really comfortable playing the football here. Like, that just seems routine for him, which that's what you want from a safety. And a lot of these kids who come from this play is also very fun to watch, but a lot of high school talent guys, they're athletes. You see the physicality there. That's what you want if you're an Ohio State fan. And now you see him playing the boundary cornerback spot too. So again, a guy breaks on the football, blows up a block, makes a play. Very, very physical, but the ball skills are something that kind of jumped out to me as well. A lot of guys are athletic. They're big and fast. Can you play the football when it's in the air? He seems very comfortable doing so. Again, breaking on the route, making a play on the football. That's stuff that you really like to see. And it does look like I don't have any verified numbers on his arm length, but it does seem like he has that length. That's what the NFL, that's what college coaches want in terms of getting guys in the secondary who have that. Now, Jaylen McClain is a very, very good get. I want to talk a little bit about what Ohio State's 2024 class could look like, and then we'll take a look at what it looks like now. Next weekend is going to be a massive weekend for Ohio State. We already talked about it being a big weekend in terms of getting and Friday, June 9th, in terms of getting Jeremiah Smith's commitment recommitted. And I don't think that's a problem. I think Jeremiah Smith's a guy, and if you guys listened to me last week talking about it, he's a guy that's just enjoying being the number 2 prospect in the whole entire country, right? Every single college football program wants him. He's going out, taking his visits. Really hard to see somebody flipping Jeremiah Smith from Brian Hartline, Ryan Day in this Ohio State offense with all the history they have in developing top-notch wide receivers. The guys I wanted to talk about the most were 2 guys, Brandon Baker and Marquise Lightfoot. Marquise Lightfoot, a really intriguing prospect with phenomenal length and athleticism, probably just needs to put on some weight. But Brandon Baker, that's kind of what we talked about in terms of if there's one position that you had kind of a gripe with in terms of Ohio State recruiting, it's not the quarterback position, it's not the wide receiver position, it's not really any position other than the offensive tackle spot, where the last couple of classes, Justin Fry kind of has fallen short in terms of winning some elite tackle prospects, right? The last couple of guys that were elite, Paris Johnson, he's obviously gone to the NFL. Brandon Baker seems to be a big one. And then you look at next week, that's when it really gets this could be a very exciting week for Ohio State, right? You have top 10 national prospect KJ Bolden coming in. More importantly, though, for Larry Johnson, who's one of the best recruiters in the whole entire country. He's got some work to do. Edric Houston's the guy I want to talk about first, too. You're seeing some crystal balls pop for Edric Houston to go to Ohio State. He's a top 15 national prospect, 6'3", 255, 7-foot wingspan. And that's special stuff. When you have the ability to play with a low pad level at only being 6'3", but having the length to use that against opposing tackles. Edric Houston, one of the best players at his position. And for good measure, apparently Ohio State's been his dream school. Georgia's obviously fighting for that commitment, but it does seem like Ohio State, going into his official visit weekend, is the leader in the clubhouse, and maybe they can lock up a commitment that weekend. And then Dylan Stewart, another guy that Ohio State is firmly in the mix for. Again, an elite edge rusher. And as much as we talk about wide receiver for Ohio State, they've done a phenomenal job developing edge rushers too. Chase Young, the Bosa brothers, obviously JT and Jack Sawyer, two guys that probably go day one in the 2024 NFL draft. So a lot to sell from the defensive line perspective as well, combined with Larry Johnson being one of the best in the game at recruiting that talent. That's a very exciting potential for Ohio State. And then finally recapping what this weekend could be, Ken, looking to close out Bryce West and Aaron Scott, two guys that they lead for in a massive way. You get some guys who are already in the house, Aaron Nolan and Peyton Pierce. And then taking a look at, I feel like we just don't talk enough about what this 2024 class is already looking like. Jeremiah Smith, we already talked about him. I mean, they have two of the top receivers in this class combined with one of the best quarterbacks in Aaron Nolan in this class, who's a guy. I think Aaron Nolan probably finishes in the top 40 national rankings, maybe even as a 5-star. He's a dude that you look across this quarterback class in 2024, there's not a more productive quarterback than Aaron Nolan on Friday nights, throwing for a ton of yards, a ton of touchdowns, and a very high level of high school football in the state of Georgia. That's one that I think the Jaden Davis commitment got all the hype. I mean, Aaron Nolan, I think Ohio State really got a good one in Aaron Nolan, 6'3", kind of everything you ever want. And then if you can round this out with maybe Dylan Stewart or Edric Houston, another 5-star in this class. I mean, again, you all know I rock with Michigan, but this Ohio State class is really, really good. It's a top 5 class in the country, only having 13 commits. I think it's going to move up to number 3 once you add Jaylen McClain into the fold, which they haven't added yet. Hey, Ohio State, there's not really any nothing new. Like, they're continuing to get it done on the high school recruiting trail. I think partially with all the Michigan hype is we haven't really seen Michigan put together a class like this in a while. Ohio State been doing this. And so again, for Ohio State fans, very exciting 2024 class. It really could be an elite class. I don't think enough people are talking about. Again, good commitment for Jaylen McClain. Appreciate you guys checking the fellas out, but did have to hop on and talk a little Ohio State too with all that Michigan hype we've been giving you guys. Appreciate you guys checking this out. If you do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. For Ohio State fans, it's going to be a busy next couple weeks, and we'll talk to y'all later.